We also are watching this. More than 100,000 travelers all around the world found themselves stranded over the weekend. Why? A strike of one of Canada's largest airlines. So the airline said it's going to delay its plans to resume services after some flight attendants refused a back-to-work order from the Canadian government. These flight attendants just walked off the job Saturday over what they say is poor pay and unpaid work when the flight attendants are not in the air. So let's talk to CBS News correspondent Tom Hanson. He joins us live at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Tom, we know you're just south of Canada, but are passengers there feeling the pressure to find other ways to get around?
Absolutely, Reed. We've spoken to some passengers over the last 24 hours who are stranded here in the United States as they try to get back. One in particular, not here at LaGuardia, but actually in Minneapolis. And she has been waiting in Minneapolis since 2 a.m. on Sunday. So people definitely getting fatigued by this, and I want to give you a reason why by running down the numbers here and just how widespread this issue is. You know, Air Canada is one of the main airlines for the country of Canada. Consider it the equivalent to American Airlines or Delta or United here in the United States. So it's a big supplier moving tons of people around every single day. 700 flights it oversees, in and out of Canada. 71% of the flights this morning have been canceled. So when you're talking about the 700, that's roughly 500 flights out of that 700 that are canceled. And then if you look at the budget airline, the Air Canada subsidiary, Air Canada Rouge, that number jumps up to 89% of cancellations. Now we're following some updates in this as these talks continue to be at a standstill. Prime Minister Mark Carney weighing in on this matter, which really highlights just what a national and international issue this has become. He said, quote, "We are in a situation where literally hundreds of thousands of Canadians and visitors to our country are being disrupted by this action. I urge both parties to resolve this as quickly as possible." Now, that is on the heels of another development this morning. Canadian Industrial Relations Board, which is kind of like the government arm that is overseeing a lot of these unions and how they are up and running. They declared the flight attendant strike at Air Canada unlawful, and they ordered union leaders to direct flight attendants to get back to work. One of the things that we're looking for, so that's a lot of information right there. One of the things that we're looking toward today is a 4 p.m. Potential deadline where Air Canada says that they want to be fully operational, up and running. But really, whether or not that's going to pan out is still very much unknown, because there was also a deadline yesterday that Air Canada put forth that the flight attendants simply didn't agree to. And so what we're looking at here is that 4 o'clock deadline where perhaps flights could be up and running. And at the center of this all, I should also mention, is the flight attendants, when they are paid and what they are paid. They are calling on higher wages across the board. They are also calling on pay when they are not in transit on the actual plane. So currently, as it goes, when the door closes and the plane taxis, when it starts to move, that's when their pay clock starts. It ends when they open the door and the passengers get off. So they're asking for pay when they're going from aircraft to aircraft and doing other things that they consider to be part of their job, where currently they are not earning money during those tasks, Reed.
Thousands of travelers today wanting to see planes get back in the air. And Tom Hanson, thank you so much for giving an update. I know that a lot of people are tuning in wanting to know, what about my flight today? Thank you so much. There are money impacts here because of the strike, so let's talk about those. CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady live in New York. Kelly, we understand that Air Canada is responding from a financial perspective of walking back their profit forecast for the year.
That's right. And you think about it, right? If you aren't going to be able to take customers' money and get them from point A to point B with those flights, with them being canceled, it's going to have a monetary impact because they are offering full refunds for those customers that are impacted. So they're suspending their full year profit forecast. And I walked back to their earnings report, which just came out a few weeks ago. They did beat on revenue, but they missed expectations on profit by 36%. So that gives you the picture that they were already in a tough spot when it came to, at least in the last quarter, profit. Now something like this is going to really hit them, because you're not just going to lose out on business when it comes to those customers that were already booked. But one, you don't know how long the strike is going to last. So people like maybe you and me, Reed, would go, well, if I'm taking a trip to Canada, I know that this is going on. Maybe I won't book an Air Canada flight. And so the business is looking at all of these different scenarios, and that's why you're seeing that that profit forecast walked back.
And we thought tariffs were the only headline for people in Canada. Kelly O'Grady, thank you so much. We appreciate you.